Page 547. Chapter 10. Rhetoric, R-H-E-T-O-R-I-C, and prosody, P-R-O-S-O-D-Y. Rhetoric, para. The word rhetoric is derived from the Greek word rhetorike, R-H-E-T-O-R-I-K-E, meaning the art of oratory, and the word orator is derived from rhetor, R-H-E-T-O-R, which implies rhetorician or orator. The term rhetoric thus means, quote, the art of speaking or writing effectively, unquote, comma, quote, the principles and rules of composition, unquote, and the study of them. According to the Concise Oxford Dictionary, rhetoric is used for, quote, the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, unquote, or, quote, for language with a persuasive or impressive effect, comma, but often lacking sincerity or meaningful content, unquote, stop. According to Oxford Advanced Learners' Dictionary, it implies, quote, the art of using language in an impressive way, comma, especially to influence people in public speaking, unquote, stop. Rhetoric, broadly speaking, is the art of using language for communication in a persuasive and effective manner in speaking or writing, especially in oratory. Para. The origin of rhetoric dates back to ancient Greece, especially to Aristotle, who wrote his treatise, The Rhetoric, in 320 BC. He elaborates his views on the art of writing in it. The object of writing is to communicate the writer's meaning in a clear and intelligible manner. The use of current and proper words contributes to clarity and lucidity. The employment of unusual words which imply strange or rare words, comma, leads to loftiness and charm. The use of strange metaphorical and ornamental diction raises the style above the commonplace and mean, while the use of proper words makes it perspicuous. Aristotle writes, quote, for by deviating in exceptional cases from the normal idiom, comma, the language will gain distinction, comma, while at the same time, comma, the partial conformity with usage will give perspicuity, unquote, stop. A good writer must observe propriety in the use of several modes of expression. He points out that the compound words are best adopted to dithyrambics, dithyrambics, rare words to heroic poetry, metaphors to iambic. Para. In the Rhetoric, Aristotle elaborates his comments on composition in prose and style in general. He writes, quote, the style of prose is distinct from that of poetry, unquote, stop. Poetry largely draws upon unfamiliar words to attain dignity and charm, semicolon. Prose, dealing with everyday subjects, comma, can use only familiar or current words. The use of metaphor is a common source charm in both. By employing it judiciously, prose can also introduce an element of novelty and surprise in its otherwise plain statements. Para. In the arrangement of words into sentences, multiplicity of clauses, parentheses, and ambiguous punctuations should be carefully avoided. Words can be arranged into two kinds of style, loose or periodic. The loose style is made up of a series of sentences held together by connective words. In periodic style, each sentence is a complete whole with a beginning, an end, and a length that can be comprehended at a glance. The loose style is formless, being just a chain of sentences that may be increased or reduced at will. The periodic style has a form that cannot be so easily tampered with. Para. In ancient Rome, Cicero, Horace, and Quintilian expounded their view on rhetoric. Cicero, who himself was a renowned and excellent rhetorician, wrote De Inventione, Inventione, De Optimo Venire Oratorum, and De Orator. Quote, what Cicero had done in the sphere of rhetoric, unquote, writes Atkins, quote, was now carried over by him, that's Horace, into the realms of poetry, unquote, stop. Horace thus enlarged the scope of rhetoric. Quintilian was an accomplished rhetorician whose Institutio Oratoria is, according to Sainsbury, quote, the work of a master in his craft, unquote, stop, page 548. He saw no logic in the distinction between the art of speaking and that of writing because the object of both is the same. He asserts that good style is the product of both nature and art. Art refines and perfects when what is ill-formed or half-developed in its natural state. To him, the writing of prose too is an art. Like Aristotle, he too insists on style, which consists of words and their arrangement. Language is communication. Quintilian asserts that clearness and beautiful or ornamental effect in expression is achieved by the proper arrangement of words, which implies the combination of words for the formation of phrases, clauses, and sentences. Clarity is the first condition of an effective style. Para. The excellence of style does not consist of simplicity and clearness of expression alone. It consists in the avoidance of undignified words in dignified context, of big words for small things, of incongruous combinations, grand words with commonplace, poetic with prosaic, old with new. According to Quintilian, ornamentation of style is an art by itself, most effective when most concealed. Persuasion which issues from emotional appeal is essential for good style. Other stylistic devices which contribute to it are similes, emphasis, innuendo, metaphor, and other figures of speech. Innuendo, Inneudo, is an expression that says little and suggests much, and sententiae, Sententiae, expresses a great deal in the briefest and most pointed manner. Metaphor, says Quintilian, quote, is the supreme ornament of style, unquote, stop. The use of all these devices produces the effect of novelty, variety, elegance, and emotional appeal, and it also makes for greater clarity of meaning. Para. Thus, rhetoric consists of three components. A. Invention, which means relevant material. B. Disposition, which implies arrangement of relevant material. And C. Style, which means choice of words, verbal patterns, sentence structure, and rhymes. 1. Simile, Simile. In a simile, a comparison between two distinctly different things is indicated by the words quote like, unquote, or quote as, unquote, stop. For an effective simile, there should be similarity in dissimilar things, and similarity must be real and meaningful. 2. Metaphor. In a metaphor, metaphor, a word or phrase used in an imaginative way to describe something else in order to show that the two things have the same qualities and to make the description more powerful. In simile, we see that one thing is like another, but in metaphor, we see that one thing is initiated in another. 3. Metonymy, metonymy. In Greek, the word is used for a change of name. In metonymy, we refer one thing by the name of another thing else that is closely connected with it. 4. Personification. In personification, either an inanimate object or an abstract concept is spoken of as human attributes or feelings. In short, personification is the act of representing objects or qualities as human beings. 5. Synedoche, synecdoche. In Greek, the word synekdoche stands for taking together. In this figure, a part of something is used to signify the whole, or the whole is used to signify a part. The whole to signify a part is used more rarely. 6. Apostrophe. An apostrophe is a direct address either to an absent person or to an abstract or inanimate entity. If such an address is to a god or muse to assist the poet in his composition, it is called an invocation. 7. Rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question asked not to evoke an actual reply, but to achieve an emphasis stronger than a direct statement. By far the most common rhetorical question is one that would not take yes for an answer. 8. Zeugma, Zeugma. The use of a single work standing in the same grammatical relation to two other terms but with some alteration of meaning is called zeugma. 9. Oxymoron. An oxymoron is a phrase that combines two words that seem to be the opposite of each other. 10. Paradox. A paradox is a statement that contains two opposite ideas and seems to be impossible. Clent Brooks claimed that the language of poetry is the language of paradox. 11. Hyperbole. In Greek, the word stands for overshooting. The figure of speech called hyperbole is bold overstatement. Hyperbole is a way of speaking or writing that makes something sound better, more exciting, dangerous, etc., than it really is. Page 549. 12. Understatement. In Greek, there is term meiosis, meiosis, for this figure of speech, which means lessening. This figure of speech represents something as much less in importance that it really is. The effect is usually ironic. 13. Litotes, litotes. In Greek, it is used for quote, plain unquote, or quote, simple unquote, stop. It is a special form of understatement. In litotes, we make affirmative expression by refusing its opposite. 14. Allusion, allusion. Allusion in a piece of literature is a brief reference, explicit or indirect, to a person, place, or event, or to another literary work. 15. Antithesis. Antithesis is a contrast or opposition in meaning emphasized by a parallel in grammatical structure. 16. Alliteration. Alliteration is the use of the same letter or sound at the beginning of words that one close together. The term is usually applied only to consonants. It was used systematically in Old English poetry, but in modern English poetry is generally only used for a particular effect. 17. Consonance. Consonance is the repetition of a sequence of consonants, but with a change in the intervening stressed vowel. 18. Assonance. Assonance is the repetition of similar vowel sounds, especially in stressed syllables, in a sequence of nearby words. 19. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. This figure of speech is also known as echoism. Echoism. Onomatopoeia is the effect produced when the words used contain similar sounds to the noises they describe. 20. Pathetic fallacy. Pathetic fallacy is the effect produced when animals and things are shown as human feelings. Prosody. Prosody has been derived from Latin prosodia, meaning accent of a syllable, and Greek prosoidia, meaning song sung to music, tone of a syllable. Thus it means, quote, the patterns of rhythm and sound used in poetry, unquote, quote, the patterns of stress and intonation in a language, unquote, and, quote, the study of versification, especially of metrical structure, unquote, stop. The main purpose of prosody is to consider the laws or principles that govern the structure of verses or lines of poetry. The following components are essential in prosody. 1. Meter, M-E-T-R-E. Meter is the rhythm of poetry determined by the arrangement of stressed and unstressed, or long and short, syllables in each line of the poem. Iambic pentameter is the most common meter in English poetry. Each line consists of 5 feet pentameter, each containing an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable stop. There is a 2 spelling of meter, M-E-T-R-E, M-E-T-E-R. Number 2, stanza. In Italian, the word is used for, quote, stopping place, unquote, stop. Stanza is a group of lines in a repeated pattern that form a unit in some types of poem. 3. Couplet. A couplet is a pair of rhymed lines. Octosyllabic couplet has lines of 8 syllables. 4. Tercet, T-E-R-C-E-T, or triplet, T-R-I-P-L-E-T. The group of 3 lines with equal rhyme is called tercet or triplet. 5. Terza rima, T-E-R-Z-A-R-I-M-A. Terza rima also contains 3 lines. The difference between these and tercet or triplet is of rhyme. The rhyme scheme followed by terza rima is ABA, BCB, CDC, DED stop. 6. Quatrain, Quatrain or quartet, Quartet. Quatrain or quartet contains 4 lines. The ballad stanza rhymes ABCB is one common quatrain. The heroic quatrain in iambic pentameter The heroic quatrain in iambic pentameter rhyming AB, AB is the stanza of Gray's elegy written in a country churchyard. There are also some other quatrain rhyme schemes such as Abba, ABBA, then Abba, AABA stop. 7. Rhyme RHYME royal or Chaucerian stanza. It is also known as Chaucerian stanza. Rhyme royal contains 7 lines in iambic pentameter, stanza rhyming ABA, BB, CC. It was first used by James I in his poem The King's Choir, QUAIR, stop, page 550. 8. Ottava, OTTAVA, rima, RIMA. Ottava rima consists of 8 lines in iambic pentameters. It was brought from Italian into English by Sir Thomas Wyatt, WYATT, in 16th century. The rhyme scheme of ottava rima is ABA, BAB, CC. Byron's Don Juan and the Vision of Judgment. 9. Spenserian stanza. The Spenserian stanza of 9 lines was introduced by Edmund Spenser, SPENSER. The rhyming scheme of Spenserian stanza is AB, AB, BC, BC, CD, CD, EE. Spenser used it in his The Feria Queen, FAERIA, Tennyson in the Lotus Eaters. 10. Ballad stanza. Ballad stanza consists of 4 lines with a rhyming scheme ABCB. 11. Heroic couplet. Lines of iambic pentameter which rhyme in pairs AABB and so on. The adjective was applied in the latter 17th century because of the frequent use of such couplets in heroic poems and plays. This is introduced by Geoffrey Chaucer in The Legend of Good Women and the Canterbury Tales. 12. Sonnets. A poem of 14 iambic pentameter lines is called sonnet. The sonnet is usually divided into following main groups. A. The Italian or Petrarchan sonnet. Sir Thomas Wyatt was the first person who introduced Petrarchan sonnet in English. The Petrarchan sonnet can be divided into 2 parts, octave and sestet, with the rhyming schemes ABBA, ABBA and CDE, CDE or CDC, CDC respectively. This form was later used by Milton, Wordsworth, D.G. Rossetti and other sonnetiers. Para. B. Shakespearean sonnet. The Earl of Surrey and other English experiments in the 16th century also developed a new form called the English sonnet or Shakespearean sonnet. The stanza falls into 3 quatrains and a concluding couplet, ABAB, CDCD, EFEF, GG. 13. Sonnet sequence. A number of Elizabethan poets wrote a sonnet sequence in which a series of sonnets are linked together by exploring various aspects of a relationship between lovers. Shakespeare wrote his sonnet in a sequence, as did Sidney in Astrophel and Stella, Spenser in Amoretti. 14. Rondo, RONDEAU. Rondo contains 13 lines of 8 syllables. Rondo can be divided into 3 parts. The 2 parts contains 5 lines each and third part contains 3 lines with the rhyming scheme AAB, BAAAB, BAAAB, AABBA. 15. Blank verse. The blank verse was introduced by Surrey in his translation from the Aeneid. After some time, the blank verse became the standard meter for Elizabethan and moderns. Milton used blank verse for his epic poems, James Thomson for his descriptive and philosophical Season, Swordsworth for his autobiographical prelude, Tennyson for the narrative Idylls of the Kings, Browning for the Ring and the Book, and many dramatic monologues, and T.S. Eliot for the West Land. Many meditative lyrics have also been written in blank verse, including Coleridge's Frost at Midnight, Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey, Tennyson's Tears, Idle Tears, and Wallace Stevens' Sunday Morning. 16. Free verse. Free verse is printed in short lines instead of with the continuity of prose, and it has a more controlled rhythm than ordinary prose, but it lacks the regular stress pattern organized into recurrent feet of traditional versification. It has been employed by Blake, Matthew Arnold, Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, T.S. Eliot's Ash Wednesday, Ezra Pound, and William Carlos William. 17. Rhythm. A strong, regular, repeated pattern of sound is called rhythm. Falling rhythm is marked by the accented syllable preceding the unaccented. The foot has, quote, rising rhythm, unquote, when the accented syllable follows the unaccented. The foot is known to have, quote, rocking rhythm, unquote, when the accent falls between two unaccented syllables. Sprung rhythm is a form of meter. 18. Roundel. A poem which contains 13 lines with rhyming scheme ABBA, ABAB, ABBAA is called roundel. Page 551, 19. Villanelle, Villanelle. It contains 19 lines which can be divided into 5 tercets and 1 quatrain. 20. Titiolet, Titiolet. The poem of 8 lines with 2 rhymes arranged ABA, AABAB is called it's a printing mistake. 20. It should be triolet, Triolet. The poem of 8 lines with 2 rhymes arranged ABA, AABAB is called triolet. 21. Fourteener, Fourteener. A fourteener is a line of an iambic heptameter. A fourteener is a line of an iambic heptameter. Stop. 22. Poulter's, Poulter' measure. Poulter's measure is a couplet form in which the first line is iambic hexameter and the second is iambic heptameter. 23. Deductive logic. Deductive logic begins with general statements working towards more specific conclusion. 24. Panegyric, Panegyric. Panegyric is concerned with praising someone. 25. Malapropism. Malapropism is the substitution of one word for another, usually with comic effect. 26. Pastiche. A pastiche is a mixture of themes, stylistic elements or subjects borrowed from the works of an artist or of artists of a particular school, usually for the purpose of parody or imitation. 27. Syntax. Syntax is the study of arrangement of words. 28. Morphology. Morphology is the study of word structure. 29. Definite addition. A definitive addition is the most authentic text of work. 30. Variorum, V-A-R-I-O-R-U-M, addition. A variorum addition is the authentic addition which also includes all sorts of variations a text has undergone with different interpretations and sources. 31. Empathy. Empathy is the reader's ability to identify with the fictional character. Para. Types of meter. Most great poetry, leaving out poetic prose, is in metrical form. The meter of English verse is based partly on time but more particularly on stress, which means, quote, an extra force used when pronouncing a particular word or syllable, unquote, stop. The stress so laid is called accent. There is difference between poetry and music. In the former, stress predominates, in the latter, time. The symbol, within bracket, single quotation mark, indicates a strong or stressed syllable, and the symbol, within bracket, small one eye, indicates a weak or unstressed one. The unit of meter is foot, of which the following types are recognized. 1. The iambic foot or iambus. 2. The trochaic, T-R-O-C-H-A-I-C, foot or iambus. 3. The anapestic foot or anapest. 4. The dactylic foot or dactyle. 5. The amphibrasic foot. 6. The monosyllabic foot. 7. The spondee, S-P-O-N-D-E-E. Para. The line is named according to the number of feet it contains. The following types are commonly found. Number of feet, name of line. 1. Unimeter or monometer, 1 feet line. 2. Dimeter, D-I-M-E-T-E-R, 2 feet line. 3. Trimeter, 3 feet line. 4. Tetrameter, 4 feet line. 5. Pentameter, 5 feet line. 6. Hexameter, 6 feet line. 7. Heptameter, 7 feet line. Para. The metrical description or scansion of a line will indicate both the number and also the kind of feet used. Scansion, derived from Latin scandere, S-C-A-N-D-E-R-E, means the action of scanning a line of verse to determine its rhythm. Para. Pause may often fill the place of missing unstressed syllables. There is another kind of pause which is dependent upon the phrasing of verse. This is called caesura, C-A-E-S-U-R-A. It is derived from Latin caesural. It implies a break between words within a metrical foot or a pause near the middle of a line. It is commonly found in the longer measures. By varying the position of the caesura, the poet introduces pleasing changes of cadence and his verse gains in flexibility. For example, para, nor what we want skill of art, P, from whence to raise magnificence, P, and what can heaven show more, CP, means pause, caesura. Para. The function of meter. Poetry is a metrical composition. The arrangement of stresses, which we call meter, give pleasure, whether found in simple nursery rhyme or elaborate ode. Page 552. A.R. Entwistle writes, quote, there is a sense of finality, of completeness in an exquisitely finished poem, that is so satisfying to the universal love of beautiful forms, Secondly, both rhyme and meter, whether in dance or in song or in verse, have from the earliest times had the threefold power of stimulating the emotions, of providing a pleasing mode of expression for them, and of communicating these emotions to others. There is, moreover, subtle relation between emotion and rhythmical language, Strong feeling seems to find in rhythmic expression a natural outlet, Shakespeare uses metrical language in emotional passages. When the emotional declines to a lower pitch, as in ordinary conversation or in argument, he uses prose. In Julius Caesar, Brutus's reasoned appeal to the crowd of Caesar's funeral is cold logic, for which prose is the fitting medium. Mark Antony's impassioned oration is in blank verse, but even the prose of Brutus's speech takes a metrical form when for a moment he loses his stoical reserve. G. Middleton Murray remarked, quote, "Rhythm and meter have the power of throwing the reader into a state of heightened susceptibility to emotional suggestion, But the plain psychological fact is that the recurrence of a regular rhythmical beat has an almost hypnotic effect, It completely detaches our attention from the world of everyday, lulls the practical alertness which that world demands, and if it is regular and monotonous enough, actually sends us to sleep, That is the extreme effect of meter and rhythm, The poet's business is to take advantage of the tendency, and instead of letting it reach its logical physical conclusion, by an infinite rhythmical variation on the metrical basis, to keep us intensely aware. There is a background of metrical sameness separating us like a curtain from the practical work, there is a richness of the rhythmical variation to make the world in which we are worthy of our most delighted attention,